what are you doing forecasting wise to
Yeah.
be able to understand, okay, this is realistic growth,
Yeah. Yeah. So
target,
that's
you
great.
know?
Yeah. So, so the exercise we go through, it's important we know those things as we approach forecasting
Mhm.
for an upcoming year. So the third thing we look at is, we talked about our costs. We talked about total revenue at a macro level. Where specifically did our business come from last year? And we look at our top 10 customers, and we don't just because we know these guys pull our wagon. And but how? Was it turnkey rentals? Was it straight labor jobs? Was it special event or private events? Were they things we were traveling, or were they projects in our backyards? Is that why they called us? Is there anything new? Are we the primary vendor for them? Or are we picking up some of their overflow work? Because many of them are big shops and don't need us. But what is the reason I look at the next 10, which be surprised, Khalil. Very often the next 10 versus the first 10 have different reasons that they do business with us. And it might be their size and, guys that are a company that's 200 people strong and has 40,000 square foot custom shop uses us for overflow or strategically for regional stuff. The next 10 clients may be we may do really, really well with because they're 3-person to 10-person offices and they're not investing in the infrastructure of rental inventory or forward deployed, fully operating facilities in places like Las Vegas that can service Southern California. And like Orlando, they can service Miami and Atlanta, affordably from here. So, we literally will go man to man in those top 20 and we'll approach a strategy for the coming year about how we approach each one of those partners and say, how can we better serve you? Or we think this might be a way that we can help you. Can we have a conversation about this? And if we've done our job and are trusted and credible, they'll have a conversation with us. And that's a lot of where we'll shake out our growth plan.
Yeah.
We look at the other customers. Okay, we got a 6-figure deal from somebody one time. What do we know about that one-time event? Is that a new customer of theirs? Did they just get lucky? Is that going to happen every year? Is there an opportunity to do that for them in a few other markets? So this is where we really will get into our core customer base and say, how can we strengthen those relationships by better understanding how we can help you? We take a good look at profitability by offering.
Okay.
So it's funny, I looked at the 3 areas that we grew the most with a decent gross profit. One was custom fabrication, and we're not custom exhibit builders, but we were
Yeah.
customizing a lot of things for client projects. We're the kings of counters and sexy counters and reception stations and lead stations and stuff like that. So we've gotten better at that, and the talent we've hired can do really, really well at that. So we project management. We did more work this year where we built less, but because we're in the crisis management business and because we know how to get things done in a town like Las Vegas, they came to us. Sammy Hagar's people came to us on the co-op project that they did with the Palm, and they said, we want you guys to have it be one of the key vendors in Sammy's Island. And it was,
Yeah.
5 or 6 months of work. And I mean, we had to have custom palm trees made and Mayan rock walls. And we don't make that in-house, but because we're in towns, particularly in Orlando and Las Vegas, where scenic and set design, right, for shows, for swanky hotels, for amusement and theme parks, there's vendors that we have relationships with that others don't. So, but they like our ability to just manage through variables, and so we became project management. And a lot of that's how we see filling some of those gaps in the quieter trade show months. So, reviewing the top 10 customers, the next 10, reviewing the sales by product, looking for new market opportunities that are not on the trade show floor, and profitability by offering. That helps us determine what do we want to try and go find more types of work of. Not thrilled with stuff that's going to be a 10% complimentary margin that doesn't help pay the big box
Yeah.
expenses, right? We need something that we can keep the saws turning and keep some guys working.
Now, do you look at profitability by customer?
We do. So it's
Yeah.
another thing we look at. So who are your most profitable customers? By the way, that's a great exercise, Khalil.
Oh, yeah.
Very quickly, you can identify your discount your way to victory customers,
Yeah,
and you have to
exactly.
make a decision. Just like we force rank, we list all of our employees, and you know what they say, right? You draw a line 2/3 of the way down through, and if you're in the bottom third, that employee list, you're at risk. And so, what are you doing to make sure you're always staying above that? I think customers are the same way. If we have customers who've been with us for decades and they only use us once or twice a year, and they're wonderful and they're loyal, and it's not a big burden to us. But if you're that customer that needs a discount every time you call, if you're the one that gives us one job, but 19 we don't get, but you had us quote 20, this is really, we don't have many of those left. Those are the folks we sort of broke up with over the last few
Right.
years. As we said, if you and I have talked, we call that, we just brought it to a necessary ending. And we can
Indeed.
still be friends, and I hope I'd see you at industry events, but we're just not the right company for you. We really need people that we're all in committed, I think, more than, any other, just a labor only company or any
Right.
other, even an exhibit house that serves exhibitors directly, but if they have time, they'll help out a reseller. We are in it for the unique niche of the reseller market. And but
Yeah.
we want you to be in it for us too. So um,
Yeah. So, Chris,
looking at
you
where the business came from client by client is another part of getting ready to plan our forecast, because
yeah.
we are going to pick. I think we can grow 30% with this client. I think we can grow another 10% with this well-established client. And this is what's coming from the team that's working with them. And we get together and we share what we know about them, and we have good enough relationship. We can pick up the phone and call and say, how do we become more in service to you? What do you need from us? And sometimes it's just, what can you do for me? Right? Just talking to them. And I want you to think of us as an extension of you.